What's up, you guys? Welcome to this week's Manga Sutra manga review, and in this video I want to talk about Naruto's 4th Shinobi World War arc and how the ending sucked. Now, in my opinion, this arc was a great way to wrap up the series. We have the United Shinobi Alliance versus Obito's White Zetsu Army and Tailed Beast, as well as the reanimated Army of Shinobi by Kabuto. But although the beginning and the middle were solid and well put together and well paced, I felt that the ending was rushed and it started unraveling and collapsing within itself. But before we get into that, I want to talk about some characters that really aggravated me towards the end and some of the decisions that were made. For starters, we have Kabuto, who, with all of his great accomplishments in this arc and in this war, when he started facing off against Itachi and Sasuke, he started bragging about the Snake Sage mode and how powerful it was, and how with all of his modifications, he's the closest one to being the Sage of Six Paths. But he immediately is dispatched by an Izanami from Itachi. And the Izanami itself, although it alters reality, it's not inescapable. All he had to do was accept the truth and figure out his own identity. Now, although it's been firmly established that Kabuto throughout the series suffers from like insecurity, and he is a very shifty person with shifting allegiances and things like that, it's just funny how he hyped himself up so hard and then just got dispatched so easily. And what irks me even more is that after the war, Orochimaru and Kabuto's crimes are completely overlooked. All the atrocities that they've committed are overlooked, especially Kabuto. This arc alone, he revived an entire army of shinobi who have killed hundreds, if not thousands, of other shinobi, and Konoha somehow deems it okay to overlook all that and allow him to be in charge of an orphanage. No, it makes no sense. It makes no sense whatsoever. It's like his redemption instantly erased all of his past transgressions, and that's not how it should be. At the very least, he should be sealed away for his previous crimes. At the very most, he should be killed. But getting back on track, I felt things were unraveling, especially with the ending, past the point where Naruto and Sasuke received the Sage of Six Paths chakra. Because at that point, I felt like the writers were thinking, how can we make the next episode or the next chapter more extreme than the last? How can we make X, Y, and Z characters even stronger than the last chapter or the last episode? How can we make the enemy more stronger? And I think by this type of train of logic, they backed themselves into a corner when they wrote Madara into being this almost undefeatable monster. I mean, the dude, the moment he was reanimated, obliterated the shinobi army that he was facing. He dropped 2 meteors out of the sky casually. He crapped on the 5 Kage right before he pulled out the perfect Susanoo and then eliminated them. This dude without eyes beat the Tailed Beast without really struggling. And then the moment after that, he became the Jubi's Jinchuriki, and the dude was unbeatable. He was unbeatable. It took Guy opening all of his 8 gates just to inflict significant injuries onto him. And the only way at that point the writers could possibly, work themselves out of this corner was to sweep aside Madara altogether entirely and just revive Kaguya. So instead of taking their time and coming together with a reasonable way or method to defeat Madara, they just said, let's just write in Kaguya. Let's just have Naruto and Sasuke fight her. And this is my other issue, because I felt like Kaguya, in all of her power and glory and her significance to the plot itself, she could have been saved for the post-Shippuden series Boruto. And the reason I say this is the way Naruto ended its series leads to the same problem that I feel is happening with the Nintendo Pokemon game series. Once you pull out the God card, there's not much you can do after that. after we had experienced in Pokemon, um, the Pokemon that control time, space, shadow dimensions, then we saw Arceus, the god Pokemon himself. There's not much you can go or explore past beyond God itself. You know, you've already pretty much explored space and time and alternate dimensions and God. What more can you do? I felt that Kaguya could have been saved in the Boruto series in the sense that I remember one of the episodes, one of the chapters, we had Shin Uchiha who was trying to start up his own new Akatsuki. And I felt like a perfect storyline or plot that they could have went in Boruto with is that after Madara was defeated, Black Zetsu kind of went into hiding and regathered himself and then decided to manipulate Shin Uchiha into, you know, reviving Kaguya. And that could have been a running storyline in the background. You know, Shin making these big and small moves and manipulating other players and forming his own new Akatsuki instead of just having a crap ton of clones. And reviving Kaguya midway through the Boruto series, forcing Naruto and all the other villages and Boruto and his friends to overcome Kaguya. And then, like we saw at the end of the Shippuden series, where Kaguya was really amassing the White Zetsu army to fight off this invading alien race, have the invading alien race be the end game of Boruto. But instead, in Boruto, we see Boruto and all the other new generation, especially fighting off these alien races and everything like that. And I just felt like it's wasted potential. These guys were supposed to be the people that Kaguya herself feared. That Kaguya herself amassed the White Zetsu army to fight against. And you have Boruto, Sarada, and all the others just casually fighting against them. This could have been saved for like an end game for Boruto. Kaguya could have been saved for like the mid game for Boruto. We could have had Boruto and his team built up and had them go through their own conflicts and experiences and have them gradually get stronger and grow into their own people. Instead, in Boruto, all these characters in the new generation, the children, they have these high-level jutsu and these high-level skills right off the bat. And I just feel like it doesn't leave much room for growth. It doesn't leave much room for definitely creating a bond for the audience to develop with the characters, especially. I felt like with the Shippuden, Madara was perfect for endgame. Because even with Naruto and Sasuke's boost, they had a lot of boosts throughout this whole thing, especially Sakura as well. They all contributed a lot. And all the boosts that they used and all the methods they used to defeat Kaguya, that could have been applied to Madara. And it would have been, at least in my opinion, it would have wrapped things up in a sense, because Madara represents the old times. He represents the warring period. He represents an archaic point of view. And having Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, and Kakashi, these people of a newer generation, defeat Madara once and for all, that would have made a stronger point. And with Madara, he's been hyped up throughout the entire series as this person that was as strong as the first Hokage. So when we finally see him, we see this raw power. We see what used to be. We see all of this. And, you know, the good old times, basically. And when Kaguya was resurrected through Madara, it's like we see this character that we don't really know. We don't know anything about her. We know that she ate the forbidden fruit. She gained chakra. She was or did control the Ten Tails at some point. The Sage of Six Paths beat her and, you know, sealed the Ten Tails into the moon and everything like that. We know that, but as far as Kaguya, we're not familiar with her. And that leads me to the next point. When Black Zetsu makes the statement that all the events that happened within the Naruto series was for the sole purpose of reviving Kaguya, it kind of dilutes all of the conflict, all the events that happened in the series, because with with Nagato and the Akatsuki and Jiraiya's death and all these other things that go on, they have significance, they have impact. And that's what makes us so attached to the Naruto series itself. And when you tell us that all these things happen for some predetermined reason, it just kind of craps on that. And I felt like Bleach pulled this off a lot better when Aizen did this to Ichigo. When he told Ichigo, everything that you have went through is because I orchestrated it to be so. You know, during that point of time, Aizen was riding a power high. Aizen is a familiar face within the Bleach series. We all loved Aizen at some point, and you know, when he just turned around and became the bad guy, it was even more epic because this guy was bossing around the Espada. He was in charge of the Arancars. He was more powerful than any of the other characters we've ever even seen. And it took Ichigo massive super training just to reach Aizen's level. And even then, he didn't beat him. So when Aizen was telling him everything that happened to you was orchestrated because I wanted it to be so, that was just that statement that added even more depth to Aizen's character. So it wasn't like out of the natural. It wasn't this unfamiliar character like Kaguya that's suddenly making these grand declarations of anything. With Aizen, it made sense. It wasn't something that was far-fetched. With Naruto, when Black Zetsu said it about Kaguya, it kind of just felt convoluted. It kind of felt like it was pulled out of thin air. And, you know, how Kaguya was beaten. How Kaguya was beaten. She got beaten in a sense because she wasn't really, in my opinion, taking the fight. I wouldn't say she was taking it seriously, but she definitely wasn't slacking. But she let the fact that Naruto and Sasuke, because they had Indra and Ashura's chakra in them and they resembled her children in some sense, she had some type of emotional bond that weakened it to some extent, because Madara would not have spared Sasuke or Naruto in any sense. Madara was that one character that was outside of the limits of Naruto, outside of the basic methods of defeating a villain. But before I wrap up this video, another thing I want to talk about is Obito. Everything Obito has done for the sake of this plan, everything that Obito has went through, every single life that Obito has manipulated and affected as a result, all of that, and he got Talk no Jutsu by Naruto and Kakashi in the middle of this war. In my opinion, you've already become the Jinchuriki of the Ten Tails. You've already sealed away all the other Jinchuriki. You have already declared this war in which hundreds and thousands of people will die. You can't allow yourself to get Talk no Jutsu out of it, man. You've came this far. Why would you decide to just quit while you're ahead? Why? I just felt like if he felt that strong of a conviction, no talking from Kakashi, from Naruto, from Jiraiya, from the fourth Hokage, no one should have been able to convince him out of it otherwise. And that's how I feel like a villain should be. I feel like at some point a villain is irredeemable to a certain extent, and they should stick to it. They should stick to it. I'd rather have the villain that's fully devoted and dedicated to their plan than the villain that can just be talked off the ledge, that can be talked away from committing an action. Such a villain has weak conviction, and they don't make a good in-game antagonist. And that's what happened to Obito. For a time, Obito was interesting. For a time, Obito was powerful with his Jinchuriki 6 Paths of Pain, and, you know, being the Jubi's Jinchuriki. But after we saw Madara come back into the field, Obito pretty much became like an afterthought, and he became pretty much a background character that we were kind of waiting to die off anyway. I know I was. After Black Zetsu was controlling him, I was waiting for him to die anyway. But I don't know. I just went on a pretty long rant. What is your thoughts towards the 4 Shinobi World War arc, or 4th Shinobi World War arc? What is your thoughts towards the Boruto series as a whole? What other routes do you think Boruto could have taken? Just your thoughts. This is BM. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Bye.